Do you have an upcoming MCCQE Part I? If you do, your prep strategy will need to involve more than content revision. The MCCQE Part I is the first step in a long journey to become a licensed physician in Canada. We want to help you on that journey, so in this video, you will learn what the exam consists of, how to follow the exam instructions, and how to prepare for the MCCQE Part I. Hi, my name is Joseph Kafka, and I'm an admissions associate here at BeMo. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe on whatever social media channel you're watching this from so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. If you would like us to help you match to your dream program, click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. As a quick tip, check out the timestamps in the description of this video to navigate to specific sections of the video that you're interested in. Here's everything we're going to cover about the MCCQE Part I. What is the MCCQE Part I? What is on the exam? The multiple choice questions, clinical decision making, how to follow instructions, short menu questions, write-in questions, how to know what counts as one answer, and important study tips. Now, let's get started. The Medical Council of Canada Qualifying Examination Part I is a cumulative exam that assesses your medical knowledge and clinical decision-making ability. This exam takes place as you complete your medical degree and get ready to become a medical professional in Canada. The exam is based on the Medical Council of Canada objectives, which are outlined under the CanMed's roles. A successful completion of the exam at the end of medical school will demonstrate your readiness to enter supervised practice. Students typically write the MCCQE Part I as they are finishing medical school. International medical graduates have to write this exam after passing the NAC OSCE. The MCCQE Part I is a one-day computer-based test. The exam is divided into two parts. You'll have up to 4 hours in the morning session to complete 210 multiple choice questions by choosing a single best answer of 5 choices. In the afternoon session, you'll have up to 3.5 hours for the clinical decision-making component, consisting of 38 cases with 1 to 4 questions per case with short menu and short answer write-in questions. Both sections of the exam are designed to assess your performance across 2 broad categories: dimensions of care, covering the spectrum of medical care; physician activities, reflecting a physician's scope of practice and behaviors. Each category has 4 domains, and each is assigned a specific content weight on the exam. The dimensions of care include domains like health promotion and illness prevention, acute, chronic, and psychological aspects. The physician's activities category has an additional 4 dimensions, including assessment or diagnosis, management, communication, and professional behaviors. The first component of the MCCQE Part I consists of 210 questions, but 35 of them are pilot questions that will not have an effect on your total score. And while the pilot questions are not scored, they are not identified as pilots on the test. It is in your best interest to do as well as you can on every question. Each MCQ consists of a question or scenario and 5 options, of which only 1 is correct. You must select only 1 answer. You will have a maximum of 4 hours to complete this section of the MCCQE Part I. You can navigate freely between the questions, go up and down in the list, or flag questions you're unsure about and return to them at any point during the MCQ portion of the exam. To answer a question, simply click on the text of that option. You can always change your answer by clicking on a different option. There is no penalty for answering incorrectly, so make sure to answer each question, even if you're unsure if you're correct. You can submit the MCQ portion when you've completed the component and are ready to submit, or when the allotted 4 hours has expired. Once you submit the section of the MCCQE Part I, you may not go back to change your answers. This component of the exam consists of 38 case descriptions with 1 or more questions. Each description and question set assesses problem-solving and decision-making skills in the resolution of a clinical case. You may be asked to do the following: elicit clinical information, order diagnostic procedures, make a diagnosis, prescribe therapy. Remember, it's important that your decisions reflect the assessment of an actual patient. In total, you will be asked from 60 to 70 questions related to 38 CDM cases. All the cases and questions are presented in a single block. so you will have all the questions in front of you. Some of the questions might have photographs, diagrams, x-rays, and other pictorial material. You will also be presented with normal lab values directly in the CDM question, if necessary. Make sure you answer all the questions. Although there's no penalty for answering the questions incorrectly, however, you will receive a score of 0 on a question if you exceed the maximum number of allowable responses or select a response that is considered harmful or dangerous to the patient. Of the 38 CDM cases, 8 are pilot cases that do not count towards your total score. So you must answer all the questions you see to make sure you do not miss anything. You must submit this portion of the exam once you complete it or when the allotted 3.5 hours run out. Once you submit the exam, you cannot change your answers. Each question will have different instructions and you must follow them precisely. Here are some examples that will be helpful. Some questions specify the exact number of responses you need to select or type in. For instance, they may ask you to list only one. If you exceed the number of responses specified, you will be given a score of 0 for the entire question, even if your responses do include the correct answers. Some questions place a limit on the number of responses to be selected or typed in. For instance, they may ask you to select up to 4. Do not exceed the indicated number, but also do not feel that you need to select or list up to that number either. In some cases, you will need to select as many responses as are appropriate. It will be up to you to decide on the appropriate number of answers, which should be based on what you would do in a real clinical situation. This means that you should not choose an excessive number of answers to ensure that you have included at least a small number of correct responses in your answer. If you do this, or provide inappropriate responses, you'll be given a 0. The short menu questions in the CDM portion of the exam are not unlike the multiple choice questions of the first portion, but there's a lot more choice. Instead of presenting you with a list of 5 possible answers like an MCQ, short menu questions will typically have 10 to 30 answer options. You may be asked to select only one of the options, up to a specific number of options, or select as many options as seems appropriate. As you can tell from the name of this question format, you are expected to type in your answer. To ensure that your write-in answers receive the maximum credit possible, make sure to follow these rules. Record only one response in each of the boxes provided. If you are asked to list 4 diagnoses, there will be 4 boxes for each diagnosis response. Be specific in your answers. For example, thyroid disease is not an acceptable answer, while hyperthyroidism is. If you are asked to list drugs or medications, use generic names. Read questions regarding medications or drugs carefully to determine if you are also required to specify the route of administration and dosage. Word your responses carefully. Correct answers typically consist of single words or short phrases. When a CDM question asks you to provide only one answer, and you write more than one, you will be given a score of 0, even if the correct answer is included. So knowing what counts as one answer will be critical to your success. For example, airway assessment would count as one answer, while airway breathing circulation would count as 3 answers. Additionally, there are examples of terms that do not have inherent meaning and will be scored as incorrect unless you indicate what you mean by these terms in parentheses. For example, an answer like extended electrolytes will be considered inadequate unless you indicate in the parentheses magnesium, calcium, phosphorus. However, this will count as 3 answers, so make sure you enter this type of answer only in questions that allow you to provide at least 3 answers. When you are getting ready for the exam, it is important to go through each CanMed's role and associated objectives, and carefully read the related key and enabling objectives. As you are studying, pay attention if your knowledge or skill for any of the roles or objectives is weak. If so, organize your studies to address these weaknesses. Your medical school course notes and textbooks are a great place to start studying. Dedicate yourself to going over the content systematically, and ensure that you understand the objectives set out in your course materials for each topic before moving on to a new topic. You will likely be in your final year of medical school when you are studying, so you will be busy with clerkship rotations and CARMS applications. That means you should begin reviewing these well in advance of your exam, ideally 6 months ahead of the test day. Be sure to set aside time on set days of the week when you have free time, and be prepared to dedicate 2 to 4 weeks of study to doing a final review of all the important topics on the exam. The patient encounters you have during clerkship are critically important for you to learn and reflect on. These will be useful to you for passing the MCCQE Part I. Many medical schools require students to keep a log of their experiences, but even if your school does not require this, you should do it. Keep track of presentations, both typical and atypical, and ask yourself the following questions. What happened and how did the patient present? What questions helped you take a good history? Did you do a physical exam? Did you order investigations? And what was the outcome? In addition to studying your school notes and going over your textbooks, you should look into purchasing a full-length preparatory examination featuring 210 multiple choice questions and 38 clinical decision-making cases. The test comes with full answer keys, including rationales and references. This is a pricey investment, but it's worth your money, as you will be able to familiarize yourself with the exam format. Remember, the format and instructions of the test will have an important influence on your success, so getting to know the test before you have to take it will be valuable. Remember that the MCCQE is a timed exam. You'll have a set amount of time to complete each section. There will be a progress bar that tracks answered questions throughout the entire exam. It will not reset after you complete the MCQ section, but it should indicate 75% when finishing the MCQ section, and 100% after finishing the CDM section. You will receive warnings as you approach 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and 5 minutes before the end of your exam. If you're spending more than 3 minutes on a question, you should flag it and move on. You may return to the flagged questions at any time during the exam, or wait until you completed the exam to see how much time you have left before returning to them. Although you may spend most of your time studying, do not forget to take time to relax and have fun with friends and family. Make sure to take walks, exercise regularly, relax, eat well, and go to bed early, especially before the exam. This wraps up our video for today. Check out our blog to learn more about the MCCQE Part I. I have included a link in the description of this video so you can find the blog easily. And if you would like us to help you with your residency application, click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, so please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. If you have any questions about the MCCQE Part I that I didn't cover in this video, let me know in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.